I'm real excited about today's call also. Now that pretty much all of you should have received your Healys, I felt it was time to really start to get into the nuts and bolts of Healy, how it works, how we can make it work better, and who better than to have our guest speaker today present about the underlying basis of Healy and some pointers and tips. And so I'm really honored to introduce Michael Danz, also known as Mooney. Michael received his MBA and has worked in many different areas with TimeWaver to finally find his personal passion and challenge in the area of national and international customer care. Since 2010, he's been in contact with users and sales partners worldwide and supports them in the context of individual demonstrations, webinars, and seminars with the help of his profound experiences in the professional application of TimeWaver systems and Healy. And for many of us, I know, who have watched many of the YouTube videos that Michael has been speaking on, you'll know what an amazing instructor he is. So welcome, Michael, to our Wednesday meeting. And I would like to start out by posing a question to you or a concept to you. If you could speak to the whole area of intention and how it affects our results and how important it is in the use of Healy.
Thank you very much, Doc Steve. Thank you very much, Rick. Hello, guys. Welcome from Germany. I'm actually tuning in right now. It is 7:30 p.m. So that's why I have the lights on in the background, because there's not much light coming from the outside. I'm very excited today to be on the call. I guess as we are almost about 600 people in the room. That is US size. If we are in Germany or some other European country, it's always a bit smaller because there's just not so many people available. So thanks a lot. I'm, as Doc already introduced myself, I'm around since about more than 10 years working with TimeWaver professional units and also in the product development, customer care, distribution, partner care. Of course, as you probably all know, we come from this background of TimeWaver systems, which is a computer-based hardware solution. And the latest, smallest version is the Healy one, which I have right now here. And both machines, and Doc, coming to your question, both machines quite strongly depend on intentions. And to be able to talk about intentions, I just want to mention that intentions are in generally very important in life. And it's not just if you use a technology or if you use a device. I'll give you a very fresh example. Just yesterday, we wanted to expand our team here in Germany, where I work in my department. And we were looking for a new person to, come and assist us in that team. So we were sending all good intentions out to the universe. Basically, we were having a meeting. We had discussions. We were... I was asking people on my WhatsApp groups here and there. I was writing some emails, and once everything has been sent out, just somebody wrote me on WhatsApp, say, "Hey, I got not from what I did, but actually from somewhere else, from some corner in the universe, somebody wrote me, say, hey, I just wanted to, blindly apply to some possible position in your team. So now next week we have a interview with the person, and just to give you an example what an intention can actually create in our reality, or how we can create and manifest our reality if we have proper intentions. And coming to the Healy devices, it is the same. It is very important basically because as you specifically with the Healy Resonance, you don't have a cable connection, so there's no electrode somewhere connected to your physical body. So you could say, what is the cable? Is the consciousness cable, is your intentional cable, is the wire you have, the mental wire. And you probably know that the quote from quantum physics where it says mind over matter. So actually, the main question in quantum physics since decades is how can consciousness influence material processes? So that was the first question, the main question. Marcus and the team here in Germany, we picked up when we started developing these devices. How can the intention of the user produce an effective outcome on your smartphone with your Healy hardware? So that is a that is a technical question. That is an emotional question. But as you all know, the intention is very, very important. And specifically, if you use the Healy Resonance app, you have to mentally, clearly focus and connect to what you want to have as a result. So let's say if you do an aura analysis with your Healy Resonance, there's a focus in my aura is strong and stable. However, that is more of a general focus. Alongside with that, you should also clearly focus on what is your individual optimization goal. Where do you want to go in regards, let's say, to your chakra situation? Or if you do an analysis in the Bach flower remedies, then you should not just have a general focus. You should have a very distinct, clear, and specified focus regarding the optimal situation where you want to go or where one of your clients is going when you use the Healy on another person. So let's say what is the real intention? How can you kind of boil down and find out what is your real intention? I give you one example. Somebody might just say, okay, I want to get rid of my knee pain. So, but then you could ask, so why is it you want to go, why is it you want to get rid of your knee pain? Because maybe that person, wants to dance. So actually the real intention is not getting rid of knee pain, but the real intention is dancing. And then, you could ask further, so why is it you want to dance? So then you could say, maybe that person actually in reality wants to find a romantic time with her partner to go on a romantic dancing. So actually it is to save the relationship. So, you go from knee pain all the way to saving the relationship. So this is just an example to really, that you can ask yourself, what is the real intention? Why am I actually doing this? Yeah, maybe, Doctor.
And thank you, Michael. That's excellent. And to dovetail on that question, is there a way we can use the Healy to manifest our personal goals or desires or dreams?
Yeah, that is very good, because when Healy's sending, let's say we're talking about Healy Resonance, when Healy Resonance is sending, which is without a cable, then actually Healy Resonance can keep the meditation steady. Whatever you want to accomplish as a goal is what Healy can, your focus can be kept steady by Healy Resonance and can constantly be sent back into your information field, because we do other things. We do sleeping, we do eating, we do take care of our family. So we might get distracted at some point, but if you use Healy to keep steady the meditative focus of why you actually did the analysis by sending the list back into your field, this is the amplification power of Healy, actually, of Healy hardware.
Great. Can you talk a little about the difference between using the resonance device or the resonance program, and then using, say, the Healy Gold or Holistic Health without electrodes, and the comparison between the two?
Yeah. I mean, basically, we have these two apps. The one app is on the level of microcurrent. Actually, there's a new term which is called, what is it called? It's individualized microcurrent frequencies. So that is the new term, which is the one app which is dealing with cable connection. So you have to have it on your wrists. The other app, of course, you use the Healy, you have the Healy on your body, but you would not necessarily need to have a cable connection. However, your question is saying, what if I start a frequency program, right? But I'm not using the cables. So, I mean, as you probably know, there's one category of programs, which is the protective programs, the protection programs, where you are actually not supposed to have cables. So only for this one category, we, as the producers here from Germany, we advise to maybe not have any cables. However, for the other microcurrent frequency programs, you should actually have the cables. It's not that there is no effect if you have no cables, but we have no measured effect, and I can't really say much of it if you do not use the cables, if the cables are intended. You could say, though, that these programs are, similar to these protection programs, are giving an impulse into the information field. So it's not that it has no effect, but the effect is not measurable in terms of microcurrent.
What I've been told is that if you use the programs, say like the Healy, the Pink app, and you don't have the electrodes connected, that you still can receive frequencies into the electromagnetic field as long as the device is within, say, 3 feet. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, this would actually be equivalent to the Healy Resonance app, to the second app, because this is also what the second app is actually intended to do, that you send the impulse back into the field, into the bioelectric, into the bioenergetic field. It's to balance or harmonize the bioenergetic field. However, yes and no, I could not say there's no effect, but we have not measured, or we don't have any experiences with using these programs on, without cables. So in that sense, you would say whenever the cables are needed and whenever the program says you should use cables and wires, this is when we intended that you should actually use them. So make use of this. And whenever it says no cables needed because you send a list or you just have the Healy on your body like this without cables, then the effect is in the bioenergetic field.
Michael, can you talk a little bit about the black line and what that means, and especially when people are running like the lower hertz frequencies, black line will show up. And people that find that they run an entire program.
Yeah, that is a good. Yeah, Steve, that's a good question, because sometimes on the display you see white means the cables are you have proper connection. The current flow is measurable. Basically, the current flow is measurable by the app. However, if the frequencies are sometimes very low, let's say 0.5 hertz or something, it was very low, then just the detective mechanism of the app will not be able to detect the current flow from the wrist electrodes, into your body. However, that does not mean that the frequencies do not have an effect. It actually means the frequencies are still running. Just the technical measurement system of the app cannot, let's say, measure the current flow from the electrodes into your skin. So you should not worry. It still works. It still has an effect, because once the frequency changes up to a higher one, you'll see then you have normal contact again. So this is, it still has an effect, even if the frequencies are very low and they can't detect. Sometimes frequencies are very high and you won't feel them, right? You also have this. They're not tangible, they're not palpable, but they also have an effect. They are very high. Usually these frequencies are used to balance emotional issues in life. And these very high frequencies, you wouldn't feel them, but still you should have your wrist electrodes on, because they still have an effect and they still do something for you. They still do good for you.
What I personally find, Michael, is that many people that consistently have black lines, to me, it's an indication that they're dehydrated. And the work that I have done with patients in my practice over the last 40 years or so, I have a way of assessing specifically the level of hydration of a patient when they come to see me. And I have to say that, approximately 80% of all patients are dehydrated. And it's so important, hydration, for the functioning, especially of the Healy, because it's an electronic system that we're creating. So I always tell people that they should consume at least a liter of water within 1 to 2 hours before using a Healy program. And then some people may actually need to put and use electrolytes in the water also, not just water itself, but electrolytes too.
Yeah, Doc, this is actually a very good point you're saying. Going back to, because it comes from Nuno Nina, I throw in the name because this is our Portuguese, co-inventor of Healy. We have Marcus Schmeke coming with the information field technology and Nuno Nina with his gold frequencies. So he also advised, and I had him since many, many years in a lot of seminars and webinars, and he said you should have plain and clear and good quality water before the treatment and after the treatment, because the conductivity, the flow, how the frequencies can, the quality of how the frequencies can go through your body is depending on how much good water or the quality of water in your system is. It's very true.
And a follow-up question here is, are we actually able to energize water? In other words, can we send frequencies into water?
I mean, we all do in that sense. If we come back to the original point, consciousness over matter, you know, if you focus on a glass of water and if you mentally, you know, wanna let's say implement a certain energy into that glass of water, you automatically do, basically. However, Healy is not really intended to put a glass of water on. I mean, you know, somehow you could do so, but let's say our TimeWaver professional devices, they have this option, and there are ways to do this. However, with Healy, it's not meant to be the technical part of the hardware, and also in terms of app development, it's meant to directly send into the bioenergetic field of a person. Like that.
A couple of questions have come up about the resonance program. The two primary ones are, how long should you run those programs, since there's a choice of, you know, from a few seconds to 9 hours. And then the second part afterwards would be the numbers that show up when you're doing, say, the aura analysis, in terms of what do those three numbers mean?
Which numbers you mean? Which
the numbers that come up, like the percentage, and when you're doing an aura analysis.
Oh yeah, the parameters. Okay, that's a good one.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen right now just to give you a little overview. I hope you guys can see that. Do you see that? Yeah, huh? You will see it. Cool. This is a guideline for using the Healy resonance in terms of balancing. And we have come up with that since a couple of months, just to give a bit of an overview and to give you a little advice how to use your Healy resonance if you let a list run for yourself or somebody else. However, if it's an issue which is currently occurring, like something right now, which is, you know, right now pressing, then the idea is you have frequent but short stimulation. You see all those sending intervals in the Healy app, they are not like even like 1 minute, 2 minutes. They're a bit broken. There's a reason behind, and they're very effective for optimizations and for balancing if they are broken like this. However, you would use 6 to 8 times that interval of 37 minutes per day. So you do it frequent, but short. And of course, the total duration is until you subjectively feel an improvement. And if you have a longer lasting issue, if the problem is already there since a couple of whatever months or even years, then the idea is to have less frequent but longer stimulation. So you would, rather than just do 2 to 3 times a day, but you would use that interval of 2 minutes and 49 seconds, like that. So maybe that answers your first question. Coming to the second question of the parameters. These parameters from the app are actually, okay, let me stop that sharing it again. Cool. The parameters in the app, there are 3. The first one is relevance, the second one is intensity, and the third one is potency. So the resonance basically is talking about how important is the result according to your mental focus you've actually, according to your focus, why you did it. 1 second, I have to close the door. So this is the main parameter, which is an indicator how important is the result, basically. If you do an analysis, let's say in the Healy resonance, for which Healy programs you need in the other app, you could say you have a gradation of which program is you should use, you know, primarily, the next one. So then you have a bit of a schedule you could go through. So that is relevance. It's the importance of the entry. The second one is intensity, and intensity is basically, you know, telling you how strong would you need to be confronted with the issue being shown as a list entry. So if this is a Bach flower, let's say you have a certain Bach flower from the Bach flower remedies, then you would say, how strong would the impact or would the confrontation needed to be so that you come into balancing. You could say if it is an affirmation, then you could also say an intensity of 10 means you have to shout at a person. You have to, like shake the person to make that person understand that this is the way you have to change. However, if there would be an intention of an intensity of 1, then just by whispering into the ear, that person would already get the idea, get the point, and would be able to make the transition and the transformation like that. And the last parameter is the potency. And potency is coming from the classical homeopathy. You probably, maybe you are familiar, I mean, Dr. Steve, you definitely are familiar with it, but for those who are not familiar, of course, you can find more information online, but it shows according to the classical homeopathy, it shows the level of dilution of the original substance. So we usually have 3 different potencies, which is a D and a C and an LM potency. So the D potency is the potency where, according to the classical homeopathic approach, where you could still trace back the physical substance in the dilution. However, if it's higher diluted, it comes to a C potency, and at the end it comes to an LM potency, where the original mother tincture is super high diluted, and you would not be able to trace back the physical substance in the diluted water. So basically, this is according to classical homeopathy. However, in practical terms, it shows you the level of where that information plays a role in somebody's life. So a D potency is related more to, let's say, some materialized themes in life. A C potency is more referring to mental or emotional themes, psychological themes in life. However, an LM potency, you could refer, that could refer to a more karmic or spiritual issue in somebody's life, like that.
There's a question here about some of the local programs, like the local pain programs, and why they do not show a specific hertz. When
it doesn't show.
Hey, right. Doc and Michael, a lot of chat in the chat about a little clarification on the chart that he said. He did mention a difference. He said 37 minutes when it came to the
seconds. Seconds.
Yeah. I want to clarify that just to make sure that he did mean seconds, everyone. There's a lot of chat in there to go, hey, wait a minute, 37 minutes. So I just want to clarify that for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. So it's 37 seconds. And the other one is 2 minutes, 49 seconds. That was the interval. You will find it. If you open the app, you will find it. If you have time, I switch quickly into the app. I can show you.
You can do that if you'd like to switch into the app. When would you run a program for 8 hours?
Not really, actually. See those, you mean the frequency program or with Healy Resonance?
The resonance program.
Yeah, the resonance. Actually, all those very high and long intervals, they come from our original TimeWaver, let's say, experience and development. We have them in, but usually if you go by the guideline I gave you, this is a guideline where you will find best results in your own life. So you can try here and there in an experimental mode to maybe even do it for 1 hour or 2 hours. But you also have to be practical, because the smartphone, is then blocked and you cannot do anything else. So it's just blocked for this one list. However, if you have time and you want to do, you can experiment yourself. The recommended way would but only be that 37 seconds and 2 minutes 49, because this is where we have best experiences. Let's put it that way.
How about sending frequencies? There's options in the resonance program to send frequencies to houses, to groups. Can you get into a little bit more detail about that?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's actually, that what you're referring to is called energetic space clearing. I don't know whether you probably understand, right?
Yep.
So when you guys probably know that you come into a building and then you feel something is there, in a good way or in a bad way. So we also naturally connect to the field of a certain building, and we can sometimes we can sense something has happened there. or something is about to happen, or sometimes we come into a place and we feel immediately home. So there is something, and it's not about the furniture and about the colors and all that stuff. There's more to it, and that more to it is what we call energetic space clearing, or is, you could say, the information field part of a building, of a property, or of a house or a flat. So you could also have you could have a human being, an individual, you can have a plant, but you could also have a building. So if you want to energetically, let's say, space clear your living space, then you can try that out. What you would need is, if you have a picture of your floor plan, your blueprint, a floor plan, and then you put that one, or if you have a house, you just take a photograph of your house and you put your house in as a property, and then you would actually, you can put the Healy in the middle of the house, use a specific list, whatever you do the analysis with should make sense in regards to the house and the space clearing, and then you just let the list run. You just let the Healy run in the middle of the building, and you see you feel the difference basically. Like that. We do this with our TimeWaver professional devices a lot in terms of, to energetically purify and protect a certain area, like that.
There's a question here that we can both answer, which is about using the Healy with animals. Since I am on the product development team, I can tell you that I already have the beta test of the animal program, which will be coming out in October. I'm extremely excited about it, and I can tell you that that it's what you are hoping for. It lists all the types of diseases, imbalances that specifically animals would have, and you're able to use that as you would, say, the pink dot program for a human. It's the equivalent, with all the different specific animal issues categorized, like skin, gastrointestinal, parasites, emotional. It's an amazing app, and I'm really excited about it. And from what I've been told, Michael, they're trying to get it released in October. Do you have anything further to say?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the timeline of the release, and I'm also like Rick, I better stay low to not give any dates, because otherwise later on, So, but in any way, you're very right, because animals do kind of, they're very receptive to sendings into the field, because we humans, we usually want to, we have our rational mind kind of disconnecting us from that natural connection to these fields, because we always want to understand and explain, and we want to question things. So that therefore we're actually standing a bit in our own ways for that natural connection or intentional connection. However, the animals, they don't have that very much. Therefore, also here in Germany, we have very good results using information field balancings with animals like that. So it's a very interesting area. It's another area, it's just, it has nothing to do with humans. It's another area, but some users with our professional devices using them on animals, they report back that they sometimes instantaneously respond to what you do in the field. So that is a very interesting, it's definitely an interesting area to explore.
Yes, I have a dog myself, and I use the Healy on him, and it's very quick. I mean, you can actually see the changes occur within minutes when you use it. So again, I'm really excited to have a much more range of conditions to treat my dog with. So there's a question here that comes up about talking about the whole idea of detox. A lot of people find that when they run certain programs, they'll experience some type of detox symptoms. Can you address that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, coming to detox from the gold cycle, the pure would be recommended just as a start, just for starters, because that is always a very good general detox program. And yeah, you're stimulating on the cellular level right there. And so you're also stimulating specifically liver detox organs are being stimulated. And plus you're drinking so naturally. you actually start a detox process. And many report that back also here in Germany, that they strongly feel that it supports their detox programs. You can additionally have food supplements and, movement, sports, all of that, breathing, but those frequencies are very effective to support you in that, for sure.
Along with that, what about people that use not the specific detox programs, but run various programs and start having what they consider to be like a Herxheimer reaction or a detox reaction from using the Healy? And what does that mean?
Oh, you mean like they have some rushes on the skin or something like this?
Yeah, or they have certain symptoms that occur after they use certain programs.
Dizziness or something.
Yeah, racing heart, dizziness, fatigue, things of that nature.
Yeah, well, those frequencies definitely stress the system. That is part, because you're adding something externally. So especially if a person is very low on the energy level, then you on top of it stress the systems with frequencies. So you should be aware that your system can respond to that maybe in a way which you would not expect. And even though, we have to balance. If you really feel low on energy and you are already in the detox cycle, or you're doing some other therapies, then you might want to go gentle on yourself using the frequencies. However, if you are young and fit and if you can take a lot, you can do more. Those symptoms, they are rarely reported here on the German market. So much I can say. There are not so many. Sometimes it is true. Then, you have for 1-2 days a little bit of maybe red skin, or, also your body needs to adjust to the frequencies, because for many people, this is a new approach. So we are used to eating and movement and all of this, but now you adding microcurrent frequencies. So this is also for some systems, it is new, and the system respond maybe differently. So never mind if this is something which is, severely, of course, bothering you, and you have to find the course. Maybe it's not even because of Healy, maybe it's because you took some other medications. So then you have to, of course, be very careful and look at it. But I myself, using the Healy now for 4 or 5 years, I've never experienced that.
I think a lot of it too stems back to the whole idea of dehydration. I think
that can also very much be.
You're going to be more of a tendency to experience types of toxic reactions than if you're well hydrated in that respect. Yeah. Question here about what's the difference between the aura scan versus the chakra programs?
The aura scan versus the chakra programs. I would say that's the same. We do have only one module in the app, which is the aura analysis. And that one is basically a chakra scan. So there's not so much of a difference. It's based on the 7 chakra systems, and it shows the energy distribution of the chakras in the information field. I guess that's the same. I wouldn't see it. Mm-hmm. Or Doc, what would you say? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I agree. It was more like a tricky question.
A question that's come up for some people, I'd love you to address the aspect of the fact that the quantum sensor Bluetooth puts out a frequency, constant frequency of 2.4 hertz. And how does that, is there a negative effect of that? Or how do we address that issue when people have a question about the fact that the quantum sensor is on? There's no way of turning off the Bluetooth. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if the Healy is not running, then within, after 10 minutes, the whole thing shuts fully down. However, if the program is running, then the Bluetooth is on a so-called standby mode somehow. Well, the thing is, we are living in an environment where we cannot fully isolate ourselves from all those let's say, frequencies around us. If a person is highly electrosensitive, then I would say maybe Healy, then you have to think about whether you want to have a smartphone, or you want to live in a city, or you want to have a Wi-Fi, a hotspot and stuff like this. It is very it is not very strong, and we have not reported, or we have not any feedback from people who, where this caused any problem whatsoever. So according to, you also said, it is an FDA approved device. So we have gone through all the measurements relevant to be able to release it on the market. So I guess it has to be within the frame of acceptable parameters.
Okay.
Like that.
Can you run too many programs per day? And is there a recommended time between the programs?
That is a good question, Doc. You would say, as I want to continue where I finished with the last question. When you are on a very low energy level, you should be a bit careful how much you stress yourself with frequencies. However, if you are a normal, if you're just normally in life, let's say, then you can have at least, let's say, 3 to 5 programs a day. So you could start in the morning, you could have one at noon, and you could have at least one in the evening. And if you have time in between, you can also do. So there is not too much in that sense. The only thing could be that it is a subjective feeling, as you said. Maybe sometimes if you do too many programs, you feel a bit dizzy, but then you should also drink. So it is checking with you. So therefore, there's not too much in that sense, but the recommended amount of programs is 3 to 5 a day, more or less, like that.
If you're running a long distance program on somebody, but they have not been with you physically, so that you can't record their actual, frequency, what's the best way to do it? If you've never seen them before and you can't actually make the recording, hold it in the record.
Yeah, that's a good way. I mean, you would usually have a person touch the Healy. That's the ideal. And that is obviously what you should do. Some people, they maybe use samples of hair like that, saliva, blood. This is more of a medical approach, but that was what sometimes people are using when they use the TimeWaver professional devices. So something from that person, maybe nail works as well, like that.
You don't have access to that? What is the best way?
Well, then you don't have a vibration pattern. Then you have to do it without. Let's say, for Healy Resonance, what is important is that it is clear with whom Healy is dealing. So it should be, if I just put in my first name, Michael, then maybe in the building I am right now, there are already 3 Michaels. So it would not be clear in which partition of the field Healy should tap in order to download and upload information. So, but if I have a photograph, if I have my birth date, if I have maybe my address and my full name, then it is actually very clear that there's only this Michael Danz right now using, being actually on the globe like that. So it is like a digital fingerprint, and if you have the recording, that's the best you have, because then it is as digital fingerprint as it gets. But if you don't have it, then you just gather as many information as you can get from the person, preferably photograph, because that makes it clear.
What I do, Michael, is that if I don't have that access, I ask the person that I'm doing the distance healing on to actually write down on a sheet of paper the answers to all the questions I'm asking them, their name, address, phone number, etc. I then have them sign that piece of paper, because a person's signature is a real powerful representation of who they are. I then have them write the specific intention of what it is looking to create in that session. And when I ask them to take the selfie, I have them take that piece of paper and literally hold it up underneath their chin, so that I'm capturing not only their face, but I'm also capturing the frequency of their signature, and I'm capturing the frequency of their intention that they've written. And I find that it makes a much more powerful connection in long distance.
Very good. Yeah, very good, Doc. This is definitely a very good how to use it, a very good way to use it. But I mean, as we said, it should be very clear with whom Healy is dealing. It is a bit like the access code. Let's say it's a bit like the phone number. If I give you my mobile phone number, then this is like a digital fingerprint where everybody who has the number can reach me. I would not need to renew that, because once you have the number is the number. Even in 20 years, you can still reach me using the number. So in the same way, once you have the client profile in Healy Resonance, you don't have to renew this on a daily basis, or, that is the access code, and the code basically stays the same. Therefore, you can just do it. You do it once, and it is actually in, let's say, forever, however long you use the app.
Can you tell me the difference between the substances that show up in the amino acid scan on the resonance, i.e. the amino acids, the minerals, the vitamins, compared to the frequencies for those same substances that show up on the digital nutrition? Are they the same frequencies, or is there a difference?
Yeah, digital nutrition are basically reference frequencies regarded to supplements. So you have vitamin C. So there is a reference frequencies which is actually representing that vitamin C, but which you get as a microcurrent frequency. So you use your wristbands. However, there in Healy Resonance, you would not have a physical, tangible frequency. Again, then you use this. You use the power of the quantum sensor in that sense to broadcast or to send the information about that whatever Bach flower or whatever mineral it is. So actually, then you are sending an information field impulse rather than a microcurrent frequency. So there are two different things by nature, let's say. You can't really compare it. One is a physical microcurrent frequency. The other one is an information about, let's say, vitamin or some supplements.
And talking about the digital nutrition, could you get into just a little bit more depth about what those frequencies specifically do in the body when we use them?
Yeah, and actually it is intending to prepare the body. Let's say it is not the same. Let's say we have vitamin C. It's not the same as if you take vitamin C physically, obviously, but it actually prepares the body, and it actually creates the environment that if you take, foods where certain food supplements are in, they can better be absorbed by your system. So that is the idea, to create an environment where in your daily life you can easier work with these food supplements like that.
We're at the hour mark now, Rick.
Yeah, Rick, we're already.
How are we doing?
I'm doing great. How's Mooney doing?
Yeah, but maybe we have another 5 to 10 minutes. Is it okay?
Okay, you can have all the time you want. They're eating it up.
Yeah,
I can tell you.
I mean, wow. But yeah, let's say we do 10 past 8. Huh? That's okay.
Okay,
Sure,
sounds great for me.
Let's go.
Rick, Ken, do you have any questions that I haven't been able to see yet that you may want to pose to Mooney?
Yeah, I do. I'd love to. Thanks a lot, Michael. I really appreciate this. And one of them is I've heard this multiple times, but also they're asking, can someone be influenced by Healy's frequencies against their will? Or in other words, can someone use Healy for harm or take advantage of others?
I mean, if you talk like this, then we have to, think about these two apps again. Obviously, the first app is, you have that is used for the client. However, the second app is also, you cannot manipulate in that sense, because all the databases in the vocabulary, let's say all the 500, 600, 700 Healy Resonance databases, they have an optimization intention. So they are clearly programmed and developed from our side to actually help people, to support people, to send a positive, to contribute positively to the spiritual development of human society. That's a big term now, but and everything in between. But it's definitely not meant to to harm anybody. And if you go through the database and you read through, you will definitely see and feel the intention of what is actually in the app. So there's no way you can, if you don't like your neighbor, that there's no way. You have to use something else.
I so much agree. I mean, the against someone's free will, again, where the person of intention is in the equation. And so they have complete control and power, I think, over their own creation. So another one, if I could add, is that in the local pain program, people are saying that the program doesn't actually even hardly load. They don't see that loading process. It's like it almost instantaneously starts. And then there's only one frequency that operates within that way. And so can you address that and how that works?
Yeah, because this is a different program than the normal Healy programs, because you're very right. That is one fixed frequency, which is validated. This is a reproducible, you would say, medically validated frequency, which helps, if somebody has pain. And the normal, let's say the gold cycles, they are in connection with the information field. So they are working in the background in resonance with the field, with the bioenergetic field of the client. So which frequency comes next, and how long and how often is actually being evaluated in the background by the field. Whereas this one pain program is working with one fixed frequency. So there's, you would say, less magic to it. It just works with one fixed frequency. But this one frequency is very effective. So for local pain issues, that one frequency is very effective. Therefore, we have it in. And you usually use those adhesive electrodes.
That's awesome. Doc, I got another one.
Go for it.
Okay. So there's questions about how are the frequencies generated by Healy?
Well, there's a frequency generated in there are two interfaces in the hardware. The one hardware is the quantum sensor, which is the thing right underneath the bottom. There's a quantum sensor inside, which is the interface to the bioenergetic field. And this is what I said. This is being used for analysis purposes. As I said, which frequency comes next? You probably have noticed every 10 seconds the frequency changes, and then frequencies run with the progress and minus percentage, plus percentage, and so on. So this is what is going on in the background with the bioenergetic field via the interface of that quantum sensor. However, there's another interface which is the frequency generator, where you plug in the cables, and then basically that's the output part. And that is a normal physical frequency generator, which can generate frequencies in a certain frequency range. And as I said in the very beginning, most of the frequencies you can feel, and some are even very high. They're being generated by the frequency generator, but they still have an effect, although you can't feel it.
Can you speak specifically to that in terms so people understand the difference between the negative 100% to the positive 100%?
Yeah, that is a very good question. These are certain modules in the background. You won't see it. When the app is running, you just see, every 10 seconds another frequency coming, or at some point that part stops, and then you have a frequency with a percentage of, let's say, 20% plus, then it goes down to minus, and it goes up to plus. So what is being analyzed in the background with these frequencies is the level of saturation. So basically, it is a so-called progress analysis in the background, which means it does the analysis how long that frequency is still needed according to feedback with the field. So it is, let's say, when it goes down to minus, then the need with that frequency is higher than anticipated. And that is going on in real time in the background. So it's not a linear progress from 10%, 20, 30, and then all the way up to 100%, and that's it. But it goes up and down according to the real-time need. So therefore, it can be on, let's say, on 60%, and then it drops down again to 20, or sometimes even minus 10, because then the need of that one specific frequency is higher than in the previous frequency cycle. Like that. And only when it actually pops up to 100% plus, that means that the saturation level is reached, and that frequency is not used anymore. Then the Healy is using the remaining frequencies in that cycle.
Wow.
Doc, I'd like to go back to one quick question on the intention part, Mooney. And I wake up every morning, it's my routine to focus on what I'm trying to create. Whether it's review goals or however you want to word this. I'm using law of attraction. I'm imagining being there and how I'm going to feel. and I probably 10, 15 minutes every morning. And it's very invigorating for me to do it at that time. Is there a specific app I could be running while I'm doing that focusing?
Specific, like you mean a program?
Yeah.
A specific program. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I would definitely, there's one which is called Positive Thoughts. You probably know that one, yeah?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
one I love very, very much. This is a very good one, which helps really, at least for my person, it really balances my thoughts, and, you know, I really become, you know, like calm. It really calms me down. And what is also very good, you can use those chakra programs. You know, specifically if you know what the chakras stand for, then you see, you know, that the third eye is for, you know, clear mental focus. The heart chakra obviously is for, you know, being emotionally present, and so on. So you can run one or the other chakra program just to support your meditation in the morning. It's a very good idea.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add one more thing, if you got a second here. So our goal in the U.S., I think, is 100 million families or households having a Healy, and that's a goal, I think, in another space as well. But 100 million homes or households having a Healy, in unison and running to improve the lives of their families and the people around them. Do you think, and this is just your own opinion with your experience and your knowledge and background, that many, or even as the numbers increase of getting Healys around the world and in people's hands, do you think, number one, are those Healys going to influence as a whole along our country and our planet? And two, if people in proximity with each other, one person running a Healy, can another be affected? So number one, countrywide, when we get a large number, and two, just in proximity with another person, can one feel the frequencies from another?
Oh. That is
Just your opinion.
Yeah, that is actually a very good point. Actually, to add to that question, my intention at some point, but that's my personal mission, is that we, you know, at some point we have so many Healys around the globe, and then everybody can download a certain list, which everybody with every Healy at the same time, we do a group meditation, we do a quantum, you know, explosion, however you want to call it. But everybody is downloading a certain client with a certain list, let's say the consciousness of humanity. And then just imagine that million of Healy users having the same healing intention, or, you know, the same focus with the Healys at the same time. That I want to see. That is my personal mission. At some point, hopefully that will work out. But you're right, Ken. It definitely has an effect. The more people using Healy, what I see is people become aware, and it really sheds light to people's blind spots. It really helps people in their personal growth and personal development. So what I see already, you know, in Germany, because we also have a lot of Healys and TimeWavers out on the market, we really have a very warm and positive feedback. People are so, it changes people's lives. I have on a daily basis, people come back to me and say, hey, let's say I became a vegetarian. And then I'm like, okay. And then I ask why. Well, you know, I really felt with those poor beings. And I said, you know, I don't want to be causing anybody else, you know, I don't want to be the cause of somebody's suffering. Or somebody said, I really changed my job. So you see this on a daily basis, that it helps to transform people's lives. It's hard to measure, really, to quantify it, to pin it down to how many programs we have used and then this effect. But subjectively, I definitely see it does change a lot on the globe.
Yes, and I think that's just a perfect ending place for today. And I just so appreciate you, Michael, for being willing to come and share all your knowledge with us. And I'm also hoping that you'll be able to come back in the future and continue this conversation.